Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Chris here, and we are sitting down here in the lounge. It's kind of dark outside. I just finished some editing, some weddings that I shot, and I got some previews out and everything like that. And I thought I would take a break, and I thought this would be a good Patreon exclusive video here to start. Haven't done a whole lot on Patreon. I really kind of want to get more stuff out, so I promise you guys, my Patreon subscribers, I will definitely get some more exclusive content out for you guys. So this being one of them. Today we are going to do some bottle kills. I've got a lot of bottle. Well, I wouldn't say a lot of bottle kills. I've got, I don't know, 7 or 8, something like that we got to get rid of. And so I've got 3 here right now, and then I've got. So I thought maybe we can kind of review those and kind of talk about them. Some of them are fairly. Yeah, some of them are in the office are a little basic. These ones here are pretty good. One of them's fairly basic. And then I thought I would answer some questions about flying. I've had a lot of my subscribers asking me questions about flying questions. So I thought we would do like maybe a little series of, bottle kills or reviews or whatever, and pilot questions for Patreon, and then I don't know, a month or 2 later maybe release them to the general public and stuff like that on YouTube. So I thought I would do that. So let us get started with pouring something here. I'm gonna start from, what is this one here? Oh, yeah, this one's a really cast strength, 52.5%. Let us start with something basic. Like this one here, we have had as a Buffalo Trace, but it is an exclusive MLCC barrel pick. So this came out a couple of years ago, maybe three years ago, 4 years ago. I don't remember, but I do remember it was very, very, very good. So I got a couple bottles of it, and I gave one away to a really good buddy of mine that I went to high school with, and because he said he hadn't got one. And this is I still have one more left. So, but this is the best Buffalo Trace I've ever had. Like, whoever chose this particular barrel for this particular bottle for our MLCC, and this is when they celebrated their 100th anniversary, so it probably wouldn't be too hard to look up to see what year that came out in. But this was so freaking good, better than any Buffalo Trace I've ever had. And I've had quite a few Buffalo Trace, like this kind of stuff, the basic stuff, but this was really, really good. So let us get that into the glass, and you can see here I poured some into the remainder into these little sample bottles so that they wouldn't oxidize out on me. So, ooh, it still smells really good. Oh wow, ooh, that smells really good. Oh my goodness, whew. Boy, does that ever sound good. And we'll do a food quig trick. So, Food Quig was a great guy. He was a Canadian YouTuber, whiskey YouTuber, and he was in Vancouver Island in Victoria. So I used to live on the island a long time ago. I lived in Nanaimo. I had a little basement apartment with a couple of buddies of mine from Stonewall, Billy and Dean, and we lived on Commercial Avenue or Commercial Street or something like that. And I met so many really great people out there, so many close friends. And then I moved up to, after Bill and Dean moved back home to Stonewall, I moved up to Courtney and then got a place between Courtney and Campbell River. And man, did I ever have a great time out there. It was so much fun, a lot of fun. But anyway, Food Quig was he was a taxi driver by his normal job, but he would do a ton of YouTube videos on whiskey reviews. But he said he wasn't really a reviewer, he was just a taster, and he would give you his opinion. And he was really notorious for these long ass lives, like 8 to 10 hour lives, and sometimes you'd see and he'd be falling asleep, or he'd just get up and go to the bathroom. He'd be gone for a few minutes, and all you see was like a blank chair, you know, but he was such a honest, and there was nothing pretentious about him, and what you saw was what you got, and he was just an honest guy, you know. There's no cuts or anything like that to his videos or anything like that. It was just he was just a really cool guy and really interesting to listen to, and thankfully his videos are still up. So if you're looking for any of his stuff, just look for Food and then Quig, Quig, Food Quig, and then he had a taxi vlog as well. So if you look up like Fe Quig or something like that, I think it's F-E-H Quig or F-E Quig. Anyway, just look up Victoria or Canadian taxi vlogs and you'll see him there. And it was interesting watching those. But I've watched all of his stuff and I've watched all of his lives, but I kind of rewatched them because they're really, really interesting. But unfortunately, we lost Quig this year. His name was Andy. So, but what he used to do is he would take his bottles and he would lie them down on the side to get every little tiny drop, an ounce, out of the bottle. You know, and I thought, oh, that's kind of funny, but it actually works. It actually works. So anyway, let's try. Oh my goodness, this Buffalo Trace bourbon here. This is ever nice. And you can see here the legs on it, the color, and the legs are pretty decent on this one here. I'm not sure if you can see those or not. There you go. You can see that. Yeah, nice. The ABV, I think, is 43%, but let's just take a quick peek. I'm pretty sure it's 43. 45, sorry. 45%. But, yeah, lots of, and I've had this open for quite a while. That's why I thought I would do a bottle kill on this guy here. And, but it's still in really great shape. It hasn't oxidized at all, but has opened up really quite nicely. It's just down here in the lounge. You can see all the booze and bottles in behind me. We've had a lot of really good gatherings down here with the Whisky Club and friends and clients and wedding couples and family members, and it's just it's kind of a relaxing place. Sometimes when I'm done work, I'll just kind of sit here and chill out. Sometimes I'll have something to drink, sometimes I won't. It's just kind of a relaxing place just to kind of chill. But there's a lot of caramel and vanilla, candied fruits. Maybe a bit of red licorice. Dried fruit notes to it. Tiny little bit of barrel char still to this bourbon. Oh my God, it's still just as good as I remembered it. Thank freaking God I still have another bottle. God, I should have bought more. That's the stupid thing. I should have bought more. This is that good. Man, it's like spice and candied fruits and red licorice notes and like red fruits notes to this. A lot of vanilla and caramel and creme brulee. Man, is this ever nice. Oh my gosh. All right, so I have a bit of a list here of questions here from some of my viewers, and they were kind of just wanting to know piloting kind of questions. And so I thought I would answer a few of them, and then in another video I'll answer some more. They're talking about a beard. They were wondering if pilots can have beards. And the long and the short of the answer is, if you're in the airlines, I think Air Canada now allows it, maybe WestJet, I don't know. I don't honestly agree with it. Yeah, if they do, it would have to be really well trimmed and really well manicured and thin. They can't have anything like big or anything like that. But I still don't agree with it. It just doesn't look good on a pilot uniform. for one reason, and that's just purely me. It just doesn't look good. You got to look professional, and if you're in a uniform, something like that, as a pilot, it just does not look professional, in my opinion, and that's just my opinion. But the big reason is why you wouldn't want to have a beard is because when we put our oxygen masks on, you have to have like a really tight seal, right? You don't want anything leaking, because if you decompress, like, and you need to get your oxygen mask on if you're above 10,000 feet, you're not going to get a proper seal around the mask itself, and so you're going to get leakage. The other reason is it is 100% undiluted oxygen that's being forced down into you, right? So if you got a beard on and you got a bit of oil on it, oxygen is very, very flammable. Pure oxygen, stuff that we get in the masks. So it's really, really flammable. And if you got any kind of oil or anything like that in your beard, you can set your face on fire. And that's the main reason why we don't have beards on the airplane. But it just doesn't look. Sorry, guys who have beards, it just doesn't look good. I mean, I've got scruffiness here too, but this wouldn't, how I'm kind of like right now, wouldn't really fly to the airlines. They want you kind of clean shaven. There's an image, right? But that's the main reason why beards aren't really allowed or they're frowned upon. But I think now in this day and age, I think there's enough people complaining about stuff. I don't know. It's political, but if it was me, I wouldn't have one on. I would, you got to look the part, but you also want to be safe. You don't want your face setting on fire or having a massive leak. If you're up at 30-something thousand feet, you've only got a few seconds of useful consciousness on. If you don't have pure oxygen on you right away, like if you don't get the O2 into you right away, you'll only be conscious for a few seconds. So, you do not want to have any kind of leakage coming out of your oxygen mask. So that's why we don't have beards. Man, that's good. But fun fact on that, nothing to do with beards. It has something to do with this. I'm not sure it was in Canada. I'm pretty positive in Canada you wouldn't allow to, but it was up until very recently, like within the last 10, maybe 15 years, Air France, the pilots were allowed to have a glass of wine with their meal on board, which is kind of cool, but you imagine knowing that your pilots are up there drinking booze, it just, I don't know. It's kind of funny, but in Air France, yeah, it was just like a little glass of wine. It wasn't anything big or anything. Wasn't going to affect them or anything like that. But I thought it was kind of funny and actually kind of cool. Why is that all good? Another question. Just looking up here. I guess they saw it on the movie Airplane. Somebody mentioned, and they said, "Hey, we saw an airplane that the pilots they got sick or something like that eating the fish." And they asked me, do you guys eat fish on the airplane? And at Air Canada, I don't think we ever got fish on the airplane. Not that I would ever want to eat anything, because the stuff they would give us, like Cara, they were out of Toronto. They were our concierge. They would give us the food. It was freaking god awful, the stuff they gave us. It was in like a bag. The eggs were like green and brown and freezing cold. It looked like the apple had been bounced down the galleyway. It's all bruised and brown and soft. The sandwiches, the bread was like rock hard, and the meat was like a browny yellow. Like, it was just disgusting. So we never ate any of that crap. It was just terrible. Stuff out of Montreal wasn't too bad, but I don't think they used Cara. They used something else. But I was telling them that they got sick because they ate the fish. But what the big reason is they had both pilots ate the same meal, and in the airlines we don't eat the same meal. So the captain is usually the one who chooses what they want. When I was captain, I didn't care. It was like, whatever. Like, I usually didn't eat the stuff on board anyway. I had bring my own food, and usually the co-pilot did as well. When I was co-pilot, I did the same thing. But if it did look, fairly good, we would get separate meals. So say there's beef and chicken, for example. The captain on most times. But like I said, I didn't really care, would choose first. So they would say, okay, I'll have the beef. Well, then the co-pilot would have the other meal. And the reason for that is for food poisoning. If say the captain has the beef and he gets food poisoned from that, and then the co-pilot has the beef and he gets food poisoned from that, like, who's flying the airplane, right? So we never ate the same meal. So that was just one thing we just never did, and I'm pretty positive any airline, the pilots don't eat the same meal for that exact reason. It's just it's a safety reason for food poisoning, and because if somebody gets food poisoned, the other one, if they eat the same thing, they probably get the same meal. And I've been food poisoned twice, and I'm telling you, it is not good. You are praying to die. Remember the first time I got food poisoned? I was flying in, I forget what company it was. Anyway, I was doing training anyway on a little light twin engine airplane, and I was in Thunder Bay, and we got in late from our training flight, and I went to the Valhalla, and the Valhalla is a really great little motel or hotel in Thunder Bay, Ontario, and it's always good there. Like, I've always had a great time at the Valhalla. But like an idiot, we got in late, and they had a buffet there, and it was a seafood buffet, and I was just starving. So and they were just starting to shut it down. It was at the end of the night. It's like 10 o'clock at night or something like that, and I said, I have the seafood fettuccine, plate, and he goes, okay. So he had the shrimp and the whatever, everything else that was going on there. And I remember specifically watching him take the scallops, and God only knows how long those seafood's been sitting there. It was all day, and to this day I do not eat seafood in buffets or any of those places, because who knows how long that stuff's been sitting around there for, right? But anyway, Buddy took the scallops out, threw them in the wok, little wok thing there, and it was in and out, like almost that fast. It was seconds. And I remember calling him out on it. I said, are you sure that's that long? Because, and I lived on Vancouver Island, and I know how to cook scallops because we had scallops all the time. I said, you sure that's cooked enough? Because it was raw scallops. He goes, oh, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, all right. So I took, and they were closing everything down. I said, I'll just take it to my room. So I took the meal to the room, and I ate it. And, gosh, it was probably an hour later, maybe an hour and a half later, I thought, oh, something doesn't feel right. And I thought I was going to die. And I was like throwing up, and I was doubled over on the floor. And I remember calling my wife, and I said, I think I'm going to die. I think I'm dying. She goes, what's wrong? So I told her what's going on. She goes, oh, you've been food poisoned. And I said, what? And she goes, yeah, that's food poisoning. Holy cow, it was the worst of the worst experience ever. I was sick for like 2 days, like terribly sick and cramped up. And then the second time I got food poisoned, my wife and I were setting up this is when I was shooting weddings, went to the wedding show, set my booth up at the wedding show, and then we went over to the Forks. And there's a place there, we used to eat there all the time when we were at the Forks, and it was like this roti place, and it had great roti. I always used to get the chicken roti. So I got that, and that night I was food poisoned, and I knew it was from that place. And haven't been there since. And I tell everybody, do not go and eat there. You're gonna get sick. Like once a bad experience. So I would never ever eat there. I'm not gonna say what the restaurant is, but oh my god, it was terrible. And I had to do a wedding show for 2 days, the Saturday and the Sunday, and I was food poisoned on a Thursday, and I was all sick all Friday, sick all Saturday, and really bad on Sunday. And man, it was just hell, and I was the only one working the booth, and man, God, was it terrible. It was just, oh God, it was the worst. I thought I was going to die. Like, it was horrible. It was just as bad as the first time. So, yeah, that's why we, it was bad. If you've never been food poisoned before, you are literally praying to die. It is the worst feeling ever. Just horrible. And my son can attest to that because he got food poisoned at this one place. Same kind of thing. We were setting up the wedding show. He came and helped my wife and I set it up. We went over to his restaurant right next to the convention center, and we had supper there, and we all had different things, and his was kind of sketchy, and the waitress was not very good, and yeah, he got food poisoned, and so then I called and complained about this. Didn't hear anything back for about 5 days, and then the manager's like, "Oh yeah, sorry about that. I guess we can we'll just give him a coupon for $10 off the next time he comes in." I'm like, "I'm not going back there, you idiot! Like, there's no way in heck we're ever going back to this restaurant ever again." And it's literally right beside the convention center. So if you're one from Winnipeg, you know which one I'm talking about. It's right at the Delta Hotel. We would never ever go back there. And the service was terrible. The waitress was horrible. I think there was she dropped the food because there was stuff in our not only just hair, but stuff that looked like it was from the floor in the food. So we complained about that, and she goes, "Oh no, that's the way it's supposed to be." And I was like, "I don't think so." She goes, No, Joe, trust me, it's the way it is." So kind of scraped it off to the side, and it was all my son's meal, and it just didn't look right, but he ate it anyway, and yeah, he got food poisoned. So, and he was just, he said, "Dad, I swear to God, I thought I was going to die, and I was hoping to." And I said, "I know, I was food poisoning." He goes, "Oh, now I know what you're talking about," because I remember him and my nephew laughing when I got food poisoned that one time. And they didn't found it funny, but they kind of thought it was entertaining listening to me throwing up and stuff like that in the bathroom. But yeah, it was horrible experience. And it completely, you are completely incapacitated. You cannot do anything. So that's the reason why we don't, on the crew, we don't eat the same meals together on the flight deck. Boy, that was good. My God, was that ever good. Oh, my goodness. I don't ever remember Buffalo Trace tasting that good. A Buffalo Trace is very good. I really enjoy it. But this one here was, oh my gosh, it's just the best. I am so grateful that I have another bottle, but I could have got as many as I wanted, like an idiot. I got 4. Yeah, I got 4 bottles. Drank one. No, sorry. Gave one to a friend. So I gave one to Dan. And then I had this one. And then I got 2 more the following year because 2 years later they were at their spirit release. I thought, okay, great, I'm going to get a couple more. So I grabbed 2 more because I don't want to be that guy, right? And so I was like, great, I got 2 bottles. It's going to last me a long time. Well, they sold right out. And then I was at my buddy's place over Christmas time, and I was telling him about this bottle ahead of time, and I said, well, I'll bring you one, because he said he didn't get one. So I said, I'll bring you one. So I gave it to my friend Sean there. So he's got one. So I got one left. So it's best thing about scotch and bourbon and whiskeys and stuff is you get to share it, and that's the best part about it, eh? So super happy I was able to share them with two good friends of mine. So I know they'll enjoy them a lot. The next one we are going to do, this is just a basic one, but man, I just love the stuff. This is a Highland Park 12-year-old, the Viking Honor, and this is a really, really, really nice single malt Scotch. It is from the Isle of Orkney, and Orkney is it is the highest, most northern island in Scotland. So, oh, it smells good. So Orkney is, like I said, it's the highest island in Scotland. So it's right up there, and it's, I don't think, I'm not sure if they have trees up there or not. It may be above the tree line. Not sure about that. I've never been to Orkney. But anyway, right across the water is Norway and Denmark. And Orkney is a very, 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 very Viking island. And my family comes from Denmark, so of Viking descent. Very proud to be of Viking descent. Pure blood Viking descent too. My mom is from the same area, so or her family's from the same area, so it's is really, really kind of cool. So if you, like, I've seen pictures of Orkney, and they've got so many like relics there, and parts of you can see where the skeleton of old buildings and settlements were on the ground, and a lot of like ruins and everything. Very, very, very Nordic there. And they said that 1 in 3 Orcadians are of Viking blood, so it's really cool. So I really want to get over there sometime. And I love Highland Park. I've never had a Highland Park that I did not like, or in fact love. So that's really, really cool. And kind of like, I know some people complain about the stuff that they put on it. You know, the kind of this kind of stuff here. You know, all the artwork, the Viking artwork on it, but I kind of like it, you know. I guess if you're not a Viking, maybe you wouldn't appreciate it, but I mean, I'm not saying that I'm Viking, but my ancestors were. I'm Canadian, and but it's just a really, really cool kind of a nod to their Nordic past. So yeah, I kind of like this stuff. But it's 43% ABV, and let's see, does the box say if it's colored or chill filtered? Let's check out the bottle. I'm pretty sure it's probably colored and chill filtered though, because if it doesn't say, you would assume, oh, natural color. Oh yeah. Maybe it's not chill filtered. It says natural color though, so that's good. But it doesn't say non-chill filtered. So it could be chill filtered. It's 43%, so there's a very good chance it probably is chill filtered. 46%, around there, around 46% is where you would assume that chill filtering is not needed. So, yeah. And if you don't know what chill filtering is, oh man, it's nice little peat smoke to that. If you don't know what chill filtering is why they do it, they filter it so that when you add a drop of water, they call it the Viking Scotch mist. So if you add water to your whiskey, it'll cloud over, and some people don't like that. So they're like, well, we don't care for that. It looks kind of muddied up, and it doesn't look muddy at all, but it does cloud over, and they want it to be nice and clear like this, right? So what they do is they chill filter it, and they take out all those esters and all those filtrates and whatever out of it, so that when you do add water, it doesn't cloud over, and it just still looks nice and clear. And that was cool, back in the day, in the 70s and maybe the 80s and stuff like that. But nowadays, with people who are really into their whiskey, when they add water to it, they want to see that cloudiness, because they know that none of the flavors have been filtered out of the whiskey, and it's still in its pure state. So, so there are some, not all, but some distilleries now that are not chill filtering, even down to 40%, 43%, just to keep all of those flavors in the whiskey and not filtering them out. Man, it smells so good, so fresh still. And some peat smoke to it. Citrus, light citrusy notes. Earthy, mossy notes. Like if you're up at the camp, when we're up north camping at, say, Reed Lake, for example, in the early mornings there, you have that early morning dewy kind of earthy smell with the moss in the morning. It's such a great smell, it just smells so, and it's cool out, and it's just, man, it's a nice smell to wake up to. So there's those kind of notes to it in here. There's a bit of heather notes. So a lot of the terroir is actually in this whiskey from Orkney. Yeah, that's nice. And it's a really interesting peat smoke. It's not like an Islas peat smoke or Highland or anything like that, or Canadian. It is an Orcadian peat smoke. So there's a lot of, because I believe they are above the tree line, you're not getting all those treed, decayed notes in it because there's no trees there. You are just getting like the moss and the heather and the berries and the mosses that grow there and then decay and create their peat. Once you start adding trees and wood to it, it changes the smell of it. It actually gets a lot stronger. It smells like very campfirey smell. Like if you smell like anything from Isla, like Lagavulin, Lefroy, Ardbeg, things like that, for example, Bruichladdich, you're going to get this very distinct campfirey peat smoke with some iodine notes to it, maybe some railway ties, that kind of tarry notes. With this, you don't get any of that, but you do get some light bonfirey kind of smoke, but the kind of smoke that you would get if you're lighting like grasses and weeds and stuff like that, dried vegetation on fire, and not necessarily wood. Sounds good though, and I've always liked this. I've had this so many times. It's an old friend. Oh, it's so good. It is so good. Oh my gosh, it is so good. My goodness. Like right away, you're getting like a mouthful of like there's earthy notes to it. There's some smoky notes. There's a bit of vanilla to it. Not so much caramel, but more like ripe, juicy fruits to this whiskey. That's really nice with a real nice gentle smoke and a light spice to it. Like it is just so good. I don't think I've got another bottle of it, so I'm gonna have to get another bottle. I've got a lot of Highland Park here. I've got a lot of their cast strength stuff. I don't think you can see it in this. No, you got to go higher up. It's over there beside the Dalmore cigar malt. I think that's the Series 3, the cast strength. But this 12-year-old is just really nice. It's just nice, easy drinking, relaxing, any time of the day dram. Nice. All right, let's look at another question here. Um, oh, autopilot. They're saying, do we ever fly the airplane? Well, we do. We definitely do. Some of the planes I've used to fly, and a lot of the airlines out there, newer the airline planes, they have what's called an auto land system, and sometimes for SOP reasons, if the weather is down to a certain minimum, and your duty day has been to a certain maximum, it's safer to allow the airplane to land itself. It's called the auto land system, and it kind of talks to you on the way down. And you set it all up, and you're just monitoring as it's coming down, and it'll start the countdown. Like it'll say 500, 100, 50, 10, and then it touches the ground and lands, and then it starts calling you names. If it's to retard the throttle, to pull the throttle back, the auto throttle. So if you don't pull the throttle back, it's called retarding the throttle into reverse, or the braking and stuff, so you don't go off the end of the runway. But if you're not on it right away, it goes retard, and it retards the throttle for you. It's not calling you names, but it's kind of funny when you hear it for the first time. But the autopilot actually does a better job flying the airplane than we do, and then we can do other tasks and stuff, and we're kind of watching the systems. I used to fly the airplane, I'd say 90% of the time, to 10,000 feet, and then I put the autopilot on, just because I like to have my hands and feet still going, and you still get the hands and feet skills. So and then a lot of times I will hand fly it out of 10,000 feet, depending on what the weather's like and what our SOPs state. So sometimes you have to keep it on. But I always like flying the airplane. A lot of the pilots like flying the airplane because you still get that feel. But when you're in cruise, there's nothing going on, and it's just the autopilot is just. It's there to assist you and help you out and do a better job than you could do. Like, it'll fly, it does what you tell it to do. So it's like garbage in, garbage out kind of thing. So if you set it up and you hit the nav and you've got it cruising away for you, it'll maintain, like, say 27,000 feet at this direction all day long for you. Whereas, if you're hand flying it, sometimes you're kind of like this, and we've got a lot of other things that we're doing up in the flight deck. So why not use the tools that are given to you, right? And the autopilot is just another tool. I mean, you're going to use, if you're a carpenter, like, you're going to use the best tools for the job to get the job done most accurately, safest, and most accurate, right? So we're the same way with the autopilot. But there are some guys that I used to fly with, like, we would be taking off and it would be V1, rotate, and as soon as you rotate and then positive rate gear up and that gear's coming up, the autopilot's on. Like, we're not even 50 feet off the ground, they've got the autopilot on, and we're going. And whereas I always just hand flew it, and like, I like to keep my skills going, but a lot of the guys, they just didn't care, and that was fine too, because I mean, the plane's going to fly it a lot better than the autopilot's going to fly it a lot better and smoother than you will. And then you're busy, especially when you're taking off or landing. There's a lot going on, especially if the weather's the shits out. You've got the autopilot on all the time, and it, like I said, it just does a better job. So why wouldn't you use it to the best of your ability? So yeah, most of the time the autopilot's on. We're monitoring it. We're not like, wandering around partying and dancing in the cockpit or anything. We're sitting there, we got our seatbelts on, we're monitoring the systems, talking on the radio, switching to new frequencies, getting the next part of the navigation going. If we've got to turn for any kind of reason, whether it's traffic or weather, or just to get back on, to get on track. If air traffic control says Air Canada Flight 452, you're cleared the, say, the Toronto for departure, runway heading to 3,000 feet, contact departure on whatever the frequency is. So away you go, you're up at 3,000 feet, you're flying the runway heading, and you're like, departure, Air Canada 451, here with you, we're 3,000 feet off a runway 33. And they'll say, okay, yeah, radar identified, continue runway heading, climb to 17,000. So, all right, runway heading 17,000. So the autopilot's on, you dial up 17,000, you got on heading mode on the autopilot, and then you confirm it. Hey, confirm 17,000. The other pilot confirms that you're 17,000, and then it's locked in. Plane flies up from 3,000 to 17,000 feet, and then at 17,000 you call, hey, level at 17,000. Like, yeah, confirm, and then they could say, okay, Air Canada 451, you are cleared en route, climb, maintain, flight level 240. All right, and well, now at that point, you're going to nav mode, putting 240 in your altitude selector, selecting that after you've confirmed it with the other pilot, and then the autopilot kind of takes over, and it starts going en route. It's cleared on course, so now you're going on course on the airway, and it'll do a much better job than us hand flying it. And we're busy, we're doing our stuff that we've got to do, right? So why not use that to the best of your ability, and just maintain the flight, you know, communicate, aviate, navigate, you know, and so that's what we do. So and it's keeps you guys safe up there, keeps a nice smooth ride, and so good, and it makes our jobs easier, right? So you don't want to crazy busy pilots up there and they miss something, right? You want to have a helping hand. That's what the autopilot's there for. Man, this is just really, really, really nice. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever had, I'll read the next question here when we get into the next whiskey. I don't know if you've ever had a Highland Park. Like, if you have, let me know what kind of Highland Park you've had. If you've had the 12-year-old, what did you think of it? If you've had any other expression, like the 18, the 15-year-old, any of the cast strength stuff, any of the independent bottlers, travel exclusives. I think I've got 2 travel exclusives I got at Iron Gate Auctions, I believe it was. I got one from Iron Gate Auctions. That was the Leif Erikson, and that was a travel exclusive. And then I got another one from a buddy of mine on Facebook that we trade whiskeys back and forth, and sometimes we, just do some trading and stuff like that back and forth. And I got the Legacy of the Wolf, and that was a travel exclusive. It's a 1 liter as well, so it's really, really cool. I haven't tried them yet though, so I can't wait to try them out though. But I'll never find them ever again, right? So I've been kind of hoarding them for a couple of years just for the right moment to open them, or somebody wants to open them with me. Like, I don't open bottles on my own, like it's different if you got like 20, 30, 40, even 50 bottles. Then yeah, open them up on your own. And I mean, if you got 1,000, you can open up on your own. It's just kind of me. But I've got about 100 bottles open right now in the lounge, in the cellar, in the bar. So if I want something to drink, I can just kind of go and drink whatever I want. But when you open a bottle with a friend, that bottle now has a story to it, and I keep track in my logbook of when they've been opened, and so you kind of know how long they've been open for, but the reason why they were open too. So you always have those really cool memories of opening a bottle and the people you've enjoyed it with, the stories you've got around it. Like, it's cool. So for me, just to open a bottle indiscriminately because I really kind of want to try it, it would be almost like a waste to me, because like I said, I have so many bottles open right now. So I would rather open it with a friend. Like, if I really want to open something and it's like, oh, what do you want to try? oh, we should try this one. Oh, okay. You know, if you think they'll like it. If you don't think they're going to like it, then you might want to save it for somebody else. But it's all about experiences. It's all about sharing. It's all about just making great memories and a really good investment in time, you know. Because you're not going to just, like even just this, you know, you're not pounding this back right away. You're just sipping it, enjoying it. I'm enjoying it with you guys, my friends, right? My Patreon people, and when this gets released to YouTube, to my YouTube subscribers, you know, so I get to hang out with my friends. What I'd love to do is maybe even do, I don't know, a live, maybe a live, but I would like to do even just kind of just a hangout, you know, whether it's Facebook, whatever lives or whatever, you know, something Discord or WhatsApp or something, and just for us to hang out, just, you know, subscribers just kind of hang out and talk and have some drinks together. And we do that every now and then with the friends in the Whiskey Club, and man, I just get a kick out of it, you know. Like, we're not like together, you know, we're not sitting down here together, which but the next best thing is we get to hang out and we get to see each other and talk and communicate and share experiences and with whiskeys with each other. And yeah, maybe we can do that sometime. Let me know if that's something you guys might be interested in, and we should definitely set that up, because man, I am all about that kind of stuff. And then we can meet and hang out and talk, and I can see what you guys look like. And yeah, I think that would be super fun. Like, we should totally do that. We should set that up. So if somebody wants to if you guys are interested, then let me know, and we'll definitely make that happen for sure. That is so good. That is really good. Oh my gosh. I'm salivating, it's so good. Definitely got to get another bottle of Highland Park 12. Just got to wait for it to go on sale, like a good sale, and I'll definitely need to pick up another bottle of that. All right, the next bottle, and the last one we're going to do tonight, is we got a bunch. I don't want to make it too boring and long for you, but I know Gary really likes these long videos, you know, and I really like them too, you know. Like, that's the great thing about watching Food Quick. If you guys go to Food Quick, just check him out. Like his lives, like between an hour to 8 hours long, you know, and like, and I'll have his videos up while I'm working on pictures of my office, or if I'm lying in bed and I've got them up on the tablet. It's just really relaxing, you know. It's just really just kind of a relaxing thing. So maybe you guys like this kind of stuff too. But the next bottle we're looking at, and remember when I said about sharing and making memories and creating cool experiences? This is this bottle here. In this bottle, we had this at our whiskey club, and it was for Spooky Spirits, I believe. It was Spooky Spirits. And we had bottles like Fable, which I have a whole bunch of now. And we had, like, I think an SMWS bottle and a couple other independent bottles. And this isn't that. And there were all indie bottles that we had. And then we had this one, and I believe we had the Bloody Sergeant. Yeah, which is the Blair Awful. But we had this one here. This is Seyton. This is from the Macbeth series. And they came out with a whole series on Act 1 of Macbeth. And there were whiskeys that were based around each one of these characters. So this was Seyton, and this is an Ardmore. And it's a 12-year-old Ardmore, and I love Ardmore. I love Ardmore. It's 52.5%, you can see here. So nice big cast strength, a really cool label, really cool bottle shape too. You can see it's kind of a football kind of shape, you know, like not like a football, like with the edges, but with the sides. It's a really cool bottle, and they had an artist come and draw these labels on. And this was so good. This was my favorite. My number one bottle was this one here. And then I had A lot of number twos. They were mostly all the Fables, and I bought all those. But at the time, the Blair Othall and the Seyton, you could not find. They were sold out. You couldn't get them. Like a year later, I was able to get them. I got them at, I believe it was Craft Sellers, and they had them there. So I grabbed them right away. But it was a year later. But anyway, we had a little impromptu party here with my whiskey club. And it all kind of started off, we're sitting here basically just like this. We're talking, doing one of our little virtual whiskey nights. And it was just kind of an impromptu thing. It wasn't for anything to do with the whiskey club. It was just a bunch of friends from the whiskey club hanging out. And I have a bottle of, right there, the Lafroig Triplewood. So I came along and I said, hey guys, I got this Lafroig Triplewood here, and I would be, it's an extinct bottle if you don't know about Lafroig Triplewood. I said, I would be willing to share this with you guys if you wanted to get together, and maybe I'll bring it to one of the meetings. And then one of my close friends, Joel Carlton, he's our local bartender in our whiskey club, he goes, why don't we have, because I said, we're going to have a get-together at my place at one time. I think it was in April, like April 14th or something like that, or April 11th or whatever. It was sometime in April. And he said, hey, why don't we do Lafroig night at your place on that particular day? And I thought, that's a great idea, because we didn't really have a theme or anything. It was just kind of a get together, and I was making Bush Pilot nachos and everything. So I said, let's do that. And they all came over. We all enjoyed nachos. We all had a great time. I think it went till like 4:30 in the morning. A buddy of mine, he's a pilot, Rob. He drove 36 hours straight from his training because he was doing like forestry patrol. So he was putting out fires. He was flying spray planes, like those water bombers. So he'd finished his training, drove 36 hours, spent half an hour with his wife, and then came right here. He's a cool guy. He was not going to miss this get together. And so we all came here. We all had a great time. We had nachos, and then everybody was bringing their different Lafroigs. And we had so many different expressions of Carchus there. And it was crazy. Like, just crazy how much fun it was. And I've never seen that many different expressions of Carchus in my life. So we're taking pictures of it all. We're all enjoying ourselves and just had the best time. And then a couple of the guys and girls that were there, they had these bottle heels. And they said, we're just going to leave them here. We thought, hey, we know that you do, whiskey tastings. And we've got some bottle heels. We'd like to share them with you and give them to you. And then you can do some reviewing. And I'm like, oh, are you freaking kidding me? You guys are like the best of the best. Couldn't believe it. And then towards the end of the night, we're kind of at 4:30 in the morning, we're putting stuff away. And then up on that bookshelf there, I see this bottle in the box sitting at the very top. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And Joel's like, oh, you weren't supposed to see that till next morning. He goes, I know you really like the seyton. And there was like about three ounces left. So I got about 1 ounce in here, and then I have 2 ounces in another bottle for the vault, for my little whiskey vault. And he goes, I wanted to surprise you with it and give you the last of it, because at our whiskey club, if we have any bit left of the stuff that we sample, the guys in the club can purchase it back from the club, and we're all nonprofit, so it just goes back into buying new bottles. And that's what Joel did. And then Joel left me the rest of what he had, because he said he knew that I really liked it. That's the kind of people that we have in our whiskey club. And they're just the best. They're just, the Manitoba Spirit Society is just full of the best people ever. You guys got to check it out. If you're in Winnipeg, come to one of our meetings. You guys will just love them. But anyway, so Joel left this for me, and this is the story behind this bottle. So it's really, really special to me, and I'll always keep this bottle in the box and stuff because it's got a really cool memory to it. But so I've got 2 ounces in one of these. These are 2-ounce flat little sample bottles. So I got that set aside, and then I have this 1-ounce one left. So I thought I would try it out and see, bring back memory lane, because I haven't had it since our Spooky Spirits last Halloween. So yeah. So oh my god, does it ever smell good? God, if Craft Cellars has any more of these, I'm gonna have to get another bottle. This is just unbelievable. I love Ardmore. I really love Ardmore. I love Ardmore. I love Linkwood. Any of those indie bottles are just absolutely fantastic. Like Lefroy, Ardbeg, Lagavulin, I absolutely love as well. Anything from Truth Malters like Cavalin is just absolutely incredible. Oh my god, just the smell of this. But man, I really do love Ardmore. I really, really, really love Ardmore. Gonna have to do. I was gonna say I gotta pull a quid, but when you say you gotta pull a quid, it means you gotta go take a piss. I don't have to do that, but I'm gonna lay this down on its side like this and see if I can get all of the stuff out of it, because this is so good. 52.5%, 12 years old, obviously non-chill filtered and non-colored, and even says that on the bottle here, but obviously it would be, because look at the color of it. It's very clear, so you can tell that it hasn't been colored. It hasn't been, like, this is just basic bourbon barrel and no chill filtering. Oh my god, the smell is just it's intoxicating. It's so good. Pretty sure this is just a bourbon barrel, single malt, distilled Ardmore, 12 years, limited release of only 3,200 bottles. Seyton, what's your gracious pleasure? Macbeth, Act 5, Scene 3, line 30, William Shakespeare. Pale face sleeping on straw, the smoke wreaths around, cloaking the body and suspicious of evil. This is the curse of the intentured spirits, servants at the beck and call of their master. The spirits pulled in opposite directions. As the reek strengthens, so do the memories of an earlier, riper life diminishes. Notes by Dave Broom. Illustrations by Rutten Blake? I don't know. But anyway, I guess I could have said it in like old English in Macbeth, but I am not an actor. I am definitely not an actor. I was in a movie though. I was in the movie The Arrow with Dan Aykroyd. So if you go to the first, there's shot in 2 parts. So I'm in the last part of the last part of part 1 when they bring the arrow out. If you go to my YouTube channel, if you check out my vodka stuff when I'm doing like my cellar kind of clean outs or cellar management, I show you all the vodka. Well, I show you the Crystal Head vodka, and that's owned by Dan Aykroyd, and then I kind of tell the story, and you could see the video of where little pieces that I'm in like maybe 4 scenes. Like if you blink, you would literally miss me. So I kind of put red circles around. Yeah, so it was interesting. It was very different. Not that I would ever do that ever again, but it was an interesting experience. God, does it ever smell good? Wow, so fresh. It's got that beautiful smoke to it. Baked bread, earthy notes. Heather, decay, but a real fresh fresh cut hay note to it. And maybe a bit of cut plywood. And the smell of a when I used to go fishing with my grandfather up in Bracebridge, Ontario, we would go to these little marshes, but they were like a little river. But you go through all the marsh grass to get there, and we would go fish speckled trout. And man, it was so much fun. My grandfather was awesome. This is my mom's dad, and he would be baiting on the flies, a little old man, and man, he'd be running through the beaver brush and stuff, and long beaver tails and stuff, and the sharp beaver brush and beaver grass, and then he'd always catch on the first cast, and man, he was just such a fun guy, like a really fun guy. Tons of stories of my grandfather. Sure miss him a lot. And my little brother Toddy, his middle name is after my grandfather's first name. His name was William, or Bill, William Anderson, and Todd's middle name is William, so carries the memory of my grandfather in him. And but he was such a good man. But it has that smell, you know, as you're walking through the bush and the marsh to get to this little windy river that's probably no more than 10 feet across, and it's all full of, like, there's beaver dams, and it's like the bottom is just like mushy, and it has that smell to it, you know, and it's just such a great smell, you know. So many great memories, and that's what this smells like, you know. It's just kind of the outdoors, beaver brush, kind of a marshy, rivery, fresh smell to it. It's such a nice smell. Like, it's just such, the memories are flooding back of hanging out with my grandfather outside at the at his secret fishing places. And he would have one of my grandmother's old purses, and then he would take newspaper. So he'd have a whole bunch of the newspaper, and then he would have three. He'd have 3 beers each, so there'd be 6. You know, 3 for my dad, 3 for my grandfather, and they would roll them up in the newspaper and put them in the purse. And you know, because you have to have, you know, a drink on the way out, and then you have to have, you know, one when you're out there, and then maybe, you know, one on the way back, you know. And then he would use the newspaper to roll up the speckled trout in. And my dad would say, "Hey, Dad, you know, like, what's with the purse, you know? Well, you know, it's you know, if you got pulled over by the OPP, you know, they're not going to look in the lady's purse." My dad looks at my grandfather. He goes, "Well, whose purse is it, yours or mine?" And he goes, "Oh, by God, I never even thought of that." That was my grandpa. It was a different time back then. But man, I miss those days. Those are good days. I wish we could go back to those days again. Things made sense. Everything was just, it was just nice and peaceful, and there was no real strife in the world. It was just a nice time. And speaking of nice times, this is just absolutely fantastic scotch. If you can find yourself a bottle of this, do yourself a favor and pick it up. It's not expensive. I think it's about $130 here in Canada. You can get them at craft sellers. Don't buy another one until I get one, though, because I might have to get another bottle. This is so bloody good. All right, see if this Food Quig trick works on this one here. Oh yeah, I got a couple, 3 or 4 more drops. Food Quig was an interesting guy. He would just keep working that bottle for every little drop that he can get out of it. I always thought, what was the point of it? You know, you get an extra 4 or 5 drops. It doesn't make any sense, but I can understand when you only have a little bit left of this and you kind of want every drop, but wow. Wow, is this ever good? Wow, like some smoke, some spice, some real kind of earthy, mushroomy kind of notes to it. Dried hay, vanilla, some char, some lemon zest notes to it, like baked crust, like say like on a baked apple pie or a baked coconut pie or something like that. It's not the coconut or the apple, it's the crust around it, you know, that baking crust. So it could be anything. It could be like cherry pie or whatever. You're not eating the inside. It's the baked crust. It's got like those kind of notes around it. So good. Wow. Some cinnamon spice. My gosh, this is ever good. All right, let's look at another question here. Do pilots sleep on the airplane? Cruise pilot. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we do, depending on what type of plane you're on and where we are in the flight. So, if you're flying overseas on, say, a wide body airplane, they're going to have three pilots. You're going to have a captain, you're going to have a co-pilot, you're going to have a cruise pilot. So, captain and co-pilot are always there for takeoff and landing, always. But when you get to cruise altitude, and say you got 14 hours to fly or 8, 9 hours to fly, one of the pilots will take a rest. So say the co-pilot wants to take a rest. He will go into this one little area that passengers are not allowed to go into. And it's a rest area. And then there's a bed in there and they just kind of rest. And then the cruise pilot will come out and sit in the co-pilot seat. So you always have two pilots occupying the cockpit. And you're just in cruise flight. You're not on climb out. You're not on descent or anything. You're just in cruise level flight. Autopilot's on. You're listening to the radio, answering calls, doing paperwork. Boring stuff. Nothing emergency. If there is any kind of emergency, the co-pilot, like the first officer and the captain, will take their positions and look after the aircraft, and then the cruise pilot is there to assist. So, and then if the captain wants a rest, then the co-pilot goes into the captain's seat, the cruise pilot goes into the first officer's seat, and so that two seats are occupied, and you, like I said, you're just in cruise flight. There's nothing going on, and then you're getting rest, because like even when I was flying, whether it was like for the airlines or I was flying in the Arctic on smaller flights, like smaller planes like King Airs, Pilatuses, Twin Otters. Well, maybe not Twin Otter, because Twin Otter was like, we weren't going too far. But say the King Air, for example, and we're doing medevacs, and we're blasting off at 1 o'clock in the morning. And then we are gone, till like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I would, and then we're flying back. I'll say back up to the Arctic, so you got hours to fly. I would tell my co-pilot, because I just don't sleep on the airplane. I just don't. I'm a night owl, and I just can do other things. So, but I would always tell my co-pilot, hey, if you want to get some rest, I would rather have you like get some rest now. Well, there's literally nothing going on. We're flying at night. I'm listening to the radios. I'm monitoring the aircraft. You can do it all by yourself. Like, it's no problem at all. I'd rather you be like awake on the approach and not half asleep. So yeah, they would get a bit of rest. And same with the airlines. Like, even if we don't have a cruise area, I would, say, hey, if you want to get some to the other pilot, whether I was a co-pilot or a captain, I would say, hey, if you want to get some rest, get some rest. I mean, we're going to be out all night. We're coming in really late at night. I'd rather you be wide awake on the approach, especially if we're going into a crappy area that's like low clouds and low visibility. I'd rather see, you be wide awake than trying to stay awake here and when there's literally nothing going on, like nothing, and the autopilot's on and everything is done. Like, we're just monitoring the radio, and if I need you, I'll just wake you up because you're literally right beside me. I'm like, hey, wake up. So yeah, so we do that. But on those long flights, there's always 3 pilots on the airplane, and that for that exact reason, because you do need some rest. I mean, you're flying 14 hours, and we would do the same thing when I was doing medevacs. We'd be gone 14 hours, so I'd rather have my crew wide awake on an approach than half asleep. So and it's completely safe, it's completely SOP, it's totally 100% legit. But on the big airlines, and you're flying overseas, then yeah, they always have 2 people in the cockpit at all times. So it's never ever a problem. Let's see here. There's another one here. Let's see. All right. So somebody asked me too, like, they heard that we don't fly around on full tanks of gas, and that's true, we don't. One of the reasons obviously for that is our weight and balance. Like, if we were driving around on full gas, we'd have half the passengers on the airplane. Mind you, on medevacs, when I flew medevacs, we always had full gas on board all times, because you never know where you're going. But it was a smaller airplane, it was King Air. But if you're flying like an Airbus or 737 or 747 or 777, even the Dash 8s and stuff that I flew at Air Canada Jazz, for example, or even Bearskin Airlines, like when I flew for Bearskin Airlines on the Pilatus and the Beech 99, smaller twin engine airplanes, or even a single engine airplane, best airplane I ever flew was the Pilatus. We never flew full gas, never, because we want to get our passengers on board, right? So what we would do is we would have, we're flying IFR, you have point A to point B. So say you're going from Winnipeg to Flin Flon. So you got enough gas to go from Winnipeg to Flin Flon, and then you'd have enough gas to go to your alternate. So say your alternate was an hour away. So you'd have Winnipeg to Flin Flon plus 1 hour to your alternate, plus another 45 minutes of fuel for for holding or winds or anything like that. So you got more than enough gas on board, like way more than enough gas. If you're flying VFR, that's visual flight rules. So you're staying out of the clouds. You have point A to point B plus 30 minutes, because you're expected to get into where you're going because you're staying VFR. So there shouldn't be anything going on there. So that 30 minutes is just for contingencies, like maybe harder headwind or something like that. So yeah, we never ever fly around on full gas unless you're a medevac. Just because you wouldn't be able to get everybody on board, and that's perfectly 100% safe. Sometimes, like as a pilot, I would look at it and I would go, okay, we're going into the Arctic. Say when I was flying in the Arctic, I would have maybe a point C as well. So say we go from Resolute Bay to Pond Inlet, and then our alternate might be a Gluluk, and the second alternate may be, say, Kikatarjuak or Inuvik or something like that. So I'd have point A to point B, 2 point C, 2 point D, just in case, and then 45 minutes. Only because in the wintertime, if the wind picked up, you wouldn't be able to see the runway. You can be completely walks off, like zero visibility in that snow. So it's always good to have a backup on a backup on a backup in the Arctic. You don't want to play around in the Arctic. You got to be really safe. So we would do that. Never needed that. Oh wait, no, we did. We need that. We did need that once, but that's when we had an engine failure. But the two alternates that we had, which were Pond Inlet and Nunavik, went out. They were blasted into, and our destination was Iqaluit anyway. So we just went to Iqaluit. But we were on one engine on one we rotated out, and the wind was picked up as we took off, and we couldn't see the runway when we were gone. As soon as we took off, the wind was already picking up, and we looked back. Okay, let's land back in Qikiqtarjuaq. But the wind has just started blowing. Well, as soon as the wind starts blowing through, you could see a mile in a million. It's a beautiful day out. The wind picks up. You can't see your head in front of your face, and it happens that quick. And that's what happened that particular day. And we're in the mountains, and it was pitch black. So it was just safer to get up over top of the mountains, clear up to 15,000 feet, clear the mountains, and then head her back to Iqaluit. Even though two of the airports that we had were closer, they were completely blown out in weather. You couldn't see the runway. It was completely, you couldn't see anything. It was zero visibility. So at least Iqaluit had an ILS, and the weather was actually pretty good there. So we just went back there. It was a 4.5 hour flight on one engine, or one dying engine. But that's another story for another day. But anyway, so it's true that we don't fly 100% on full gas all the time, but we will look at our flight release, and like a couple times when I was at Jazz, for example, flight ops would go, oh, no alternate IFR, Toronto to Halifax, and we're getting in at midnight, and I'm like, no, we need an alternate. They're like, why? The weather's fine. Yeah, it's fine now, but as soon as the fog always rolls in there, and you can see it creeping over the ocean and over the Atlantic, and kind of creeping onto the shore. And sometimes we go in there, and you are landing at a Cat 3 approach down to 50 feet and a quarter of a mile, and sometimes you don't see the runway until you're on the runway, and they want to send us over there with no alternate IFR. So you're like, got to contact flight ops and say, no, we're not doing no alternate IFR today. Well, why not? Because it's midnight, it gets cool, there's fog rolls in, you got to use some common sense. So they give us alternate. I said, well, what's going to be your alternate? And I'm like, Montreal or St. John's, or sometimes it was Toronto. Sometimes it would be that bad, and your alternate would be Toronto, back to where you came from. But but anyway, so to answer that question, no, we don't fly around on full fuel all the time. It's 50% of our passengers would be left behind if we did, and it just costs too much. If the heavier you are, the more fuel you burn, the more it costs. You can't get up to higher altitudes to burn less fuel to make smoother flights sometimes. And it's just too expensive to run around on full gas. Gosh darn it, is this ever good? And at 52.5%, you don't need to add water. This is just, oh my God, the spice is just amazing. Right at the tip of your tongue, and your mouth is just salivating. It's so good. I might need another bottle. Damn it. I'm going to need another bottle of that. That is so nice. So good. So good. Anyway, so those are 3 bottles. We've got a couple more pages here of questions here to answer. And we've got more bottles in there to kill off. So we will do another video here shortly, Patreon only for now, and then in a couple of months probably release it to the general public. But I want my Patreon people to see this first, and it was some of my Patreon people that were asking some of these questions as well. So anyway, that is that. And if my Patreon subscribers have other ideas for me or other things they would like to see, please, please, please let me know. I was talking to one of my guys, super awesome guy, and he was coming up with some really great ideas, but some really good questions too. Like why, why do you? I wouldn't say like why do you do Patreon, but like what is something like maybe a message you may want to convey to your subscribers and your viewers and Patreon people? Like, is there a message? Is there something that important to deliver, or that kind of stuff? But I also want to make it a really good benefit to be part of this Patreon club exclusivity. So I want to do a whole heck of a lot more for you guys, and really, really, really add a lot of really great content and really great Patreon only stuff that may never, ever, ever, ever get to YouTube for the general public. I want to make it really good for you guys. So that is a winter project that I've got to come up with. But if you guys know of anything or got any really cool ideas, man, I'm all about that kind of stuff. Whatever I can do to make this a better experience for you guys, whether you're my Patreon subscribers or my YouTube subscribers. That is the whole point of this channel, is to make it really kind of cool, interesting for you to watch, and maybe learn some stuff too at the same time. So if there's anything I can do for you guys, just please let me know. I've been doing this for about 2 years now, and I'm still learning, and I still want to make this just a better experience for you guys. Like guys that I watch, I find entertaining, and some of the stuff you learn from, right? So I kind of want to do the same thing for you, and I want to make it really good for you guys, because you guys mean everything to me. So but I really appreciate that. Let me know if you've ever had any of these whiskeys before. If you had any of the Macbeth series, especially, and what you thought of them, or any really cool indie bottles, or if there's anything else you guys would like to see coming up. But I really do appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so very much. Please like and subscribe. And my son always tells me, Dad, remember to tell him to hit the bell. And thank you very, very, very much. And we'll be back with another one soon. Take care. Cheers, and have a good one.